This is OneSoccer Direct live on location after Canada drew Ecuador. It was a goalless game. Jordan Wilson, Gareth Wheeler, Oliver Platt with you. The Ecuador second team's training behind us post-match. The fans are still treating them like the Beatles. It's like unbelievable here. The game wasn't great, but in the end, a good result for Canada after Ali Ahmed sending off in just the 6th minute. You taking that performance by Canada here tonight, Jordan?
Yeah, I liked it. Only because I look at a game where they played with 10 men for majority of the game. It didn't feel like it. I also think back to the last time they played with 10 men against Guatemala, and they looked chaotic, hectic, running around with a chicken with their head cut off. That wasn't the vibe today. They pressed at the right time. They countered at the right times. Yes, okay, we still need to work on goals going in the back of the net. But I think from a Canadian perspective on Canadian soil, against a top Ecuador side, I'll take it as a positive today.
It seemed like a type of performance that Jesse Marsh would have really liked.
Yeah, very gritty. They really dug in, and that was kind of my takeaway was what Jordan said. Much better with 10 men than the last time we saw it. And as much as you want to play 11v11 against a quality side like Ecuador and get that kind of test and experience, you said it when we were watching up there, Wheels, that could happen at a World Cup, right? Yeah. You could get a red card out of nowhere and be playing most of the game with 10 men. You've got to know how to deal with it. They didn't look like they did in the summer. Tonight, much better.
Yeah, the statement that was widespread, put out on social media, was that the game was ruined. I think you have to be able to prepare for the unexpected, and that's kind of what happens in moments like this. But let's get into the debate. Was it a sending off? Should Ali Ahmed have been sent off in the 6th minute for that high and, let's be honest, reckless challenge?
Look, I find it interesting because most of the times when I'm thinking about a red card, if it's a sending off, I have you to my left, I have Ollie in my ear or to my right, and this time I'm looking at every monitor in the stadium and I'm like, where's the replay? I need to see the replay. From the first and only glance I got of it, it seems like a yellow card all day long. It didn't seem malicious. It didn't seem like Ali Ahmed caught the player. But again, I needed your Wheels. What did you think of it?
Yeah, we'll go to Ollie first.
Well, having us two in your ear might not help that much all the time. Yeah. But I didn't think it was a red card. Look, these ones bother me because it's not excessive force for me. It's not endangering the opponent. That's the language used for serious foul play. With potential red cards, it's not a good challenge from Ali Ahmed. Obviously, he's a little wild with it. It's reckless. But to me, you can give a player yellow cards, move on, particularly in a game like this. I don't think Ecuador really wanted to play against 10 men. They're not coming here for 3 points. They're coming here like Canada, looking for a decent test going into the World Cup. So I thought it was the wrong decision. And for me, just not the kind of really forceful challenge that you see when the studs are high that obviously warrants a red card.
Well, that was kind of the prevailing sentiment. This is a friendly.
Yeah.
In whose interest does this serve? Having a player sent off that early. With that being said, we see challenges like that on a regular basis where players do get sent off. It's not as if I fully agree with it, but for me, I understand why the referee gave him a red. He still hit the defender, Franco, in the arm, grazed him. But it
was studs up in the chest.
And I always go back to if VAR was being used, would there have been enough in it to reverse the referee's decision on the field? And I would say no.
Maybe not.
I think the call would have stood as is, as disappointing as it is. I don't just think based upon that perspective, you can kind of complain about the outcome, other than the fact that the game kind of devolved after. Like, the game just spun out of control. It was foul after foul after foul. There was a lack of rhythm. There was a lack of cadence. Again, that's kind of typical of a Canada game these days, and it's kind of typical of the way Ecuador play as well. It's the first word is combative, and then second of all, everything else comes after that.
I mean, 11v11, it might not have looked much different. Yeah, this is an Ecuador team that they went through 18 games of South American qualifying, conceded 5 goals. Yeah. So I would have really liked to have seen Canada with 11 men get that kind of test of breaking down a team like this. Didn't happen. They did create the one very good chance that Tani Oluwaseyi probably should have buried, but yeah, you would have liked to have seen them tested against this kind of backline.
Gents, I'm starting to think in international football though, Wheels, I don't know how you feel about it, but that Canada's going to play this way for sure going into the summer, but there might be 1 or 2 chances a match. There might be a David chance where he's getting a cutback and he might put it in, or the Oluwaseyi chance where he should bury in the first half. That's how Canada's going to play. And if they're going to play that way, they're going to need someone in the 9 position to be clinical.
Let's talk that chance from Tani Oluwaseyi. Canada very good in transition, again, which is kind of their trademark. and Tani was gifted a ball. I believe it was Richie Larea that played him in.
Yeah, it was.
And he played it straight at the goalkeeper. I bring this up because the man to my left in Oliver Platt asked Jesse Marsh about his preference in terms of strikers heading into this match, and Marsh acknowledged that Tani probably has a lead on the other potential candidates, yet that is only 2 goals in 19 games for Canada for Oluwaseyi now, and that's one I think that everyone in the stadium that was looking on and beyond that said he has to score. And there's no way around that, Ollie. There's a lot of really good things about his game, but moments like that, to Jordan's point, you have to take advantage.
You do, and this is kind of the Tani Oluwaseyi question for me, is that he does everything else right. He does a lot of running. Jesse Marsh really regards him highly in that regard for the way he leads the line defensively, dropped back into that left wing position and got his yards in, did a job for the team today. That's important to this team. We understand that. We know that they want to create off of those transition opportunities. But when you're in a World Cup game and the ball falls to you from 10 yards out, is he going to be the guy who's going to put it in the back of the net? That's still to be proven. And again, when you have a player like Promise David who does that most weeks for his club and still sits on the bench unused tonight, it's a debate that's going to continue to go on.
And that's the beauty of sitting in the sections with the fans as well. There are a lot of Ecuadorian fans screaming in my ear, but there are also a lot of fans saying Promise is scoring that one. Promise David is burying that. Even speaking to him just there briefly as well, you're looking on his face, he's itching to get involved. But then on the flip side, you're wondering, is there a striker that could do what Tani Oluwaseyi did for basically the majority of the match? He came off, I believe, 78th minute. Could they do what he did? The pressing, the runs in behind, the hold-up play. I mean, I'll answer that question. I don't see a player doing that. But you still need someone ready in that position to go and win, and score goals and be that match winner and be that hero. So that's where we are right now. Oluwaseyi's playing Canada's way. He's playing the Jesse Marsh way, but he still hasn't found his footing in terms of goal scoring and production, and that's what this team kind of needs right now.
Seems like Kyle Aaron wasn't fully fit, not good enough to go tonight, but even the decision to bring on Theo Bair amongst the substitutes, I mean, you don't want to nitpick when you're playing with 10 men. It's a little bit of a different game, but I was still really surprised that Promise David, again, finds himself on the outside looking in terms of the attack options. Release the beast, Jesse. Release it.
I think he has to.
He has to.
Give him a little 20, 25. I think in this type of match as well, okay, he doesn't press the same way Oluwaseyi does, but he does a lot of other things that defenders can't control. Look, I was standing next to him. You guys know me. I'm not really afraid of many people. He's a beast. It's poke tackle all day if I'm playing against Promise David. You don't want to be going shoulders. You don't want him turning. You don't want him posting up. So, I think a player like that, it's kind of time that you unleash him.
I agree. The other main storyline tonight was the depth of center backs were really tested. And tonight, it was Joel Waterman and Kamal Miller, just his 3rd start under Jesse Marsh. And both those defenders, down a man, were part of a group that came away with a clean sheet. How would you assess their performances overall?
I thought Waterman was good. Valencia got away from him a little bit on that second chance, but it was a great ball from Caicedo, so you have to give credit to the delivery sometimes. Kamal Miller, some good, some bad. He got spun a couple of times, I think, that led to good Ecuador chances. I think he's really in a fight to make the World Cup squad at this point, with Defugero, Jones, Bombito coming back, obviously, and then Cornelius and Waterman as well. For me, right now, he's probably number 6 and is in a little bit of a battle.
It was a positive performance for Kamal Miller. It wasn't perfect. Positive being, think about the pass that he played to the biggest chance. So he clips it over to Larea. Larea plays Oluwaseyi. He should bury that one. It's a hockey second assist or whatever if he's playing there. Playing the ball forward was great, but I do agree, Ollie. He was a bit too over-aggressive at times, and then he did get burned. Let's talk about Joel Waterman, though. Just saw him in the tunnel as well. He needed that performance at that time because everyone, myself included, was saying Luke Defugero is the next one. You have Bombito, you have Cornelius when they're healthy, but he's the 3rd string. Waterman said, look, this is not how I like to play, but I'm going to do what I need to do to get on the pitch. And I thought he was outstanding tonight.
We got to get into some star performers really quickly. We have to mention Richie Larea as they're starting to turn out the lights here inside BMO Field. Larea was outstanding. I thought it was purposeful that Eustachio, when he came off the field, gave Larea the armband. Yeah. He continues to do very little wrong. I know he provokes and he really pokes the bear at times. But Ollie and I were chatting, he's never been sent off in a game for club or
trust him
country.
in those
You
situations.
trust him. And Nico Seeger on the right side. Both the fullbacks continue to do really, really well, Ollie.
The question with both of them, and I think particularly with Richie Laryea, is how do you take them out of the team? And what does that mean when Alistair Johnston and Alphonso Davies are back? It's a good problem to have. It's obviously depth that Canada hasn't had in those types of positions, I don't think, over the years. But there's going to be some real big selection decisions, particularly when it comes to how you deploy Davies, I think.
When we think about Canada, I totally agree, Ollie, but we think that this is a combative team. They're up for the test. Jesse Marsch has instilled that in this group. I think they always had it, but he's brought it to life. Who is more combative? Who is the player that gets in the most faces? I took a friend to the game today, watching the match. It's like, this guy's a menace. Yeah. Like, he just doesn't stop. Ball's played back, he's pushing, time to tuck in, he's bumping, slide tackles in each other's face. Jesse Marsch, like, that's Jesse Marsch's son. He loves the way that Richie Laryea plays. You're gonna put him on the bench in a game where you need that combativeness to go on and take on maybe a better team or a higher ranked team. I mean, Richie Laryea at left back looks pretty convincing right now.
Finally, we must address the atmosphere tonight. I mean, it was loud. It was lively. Jordan Wilson was sitting in the crowd. Problem was, it was largely among a sea of yellow. The Ecuador chants throughout the game were prominent.
I was learning some Spanish.
I mean, it's going to be very cool. It's one of the reasons why Toronto's such a special place. And no matter who plays here outside of Canada, it will create an atmosphere. But, and here's the big but, it reminded me of 17 years ago, not what we need to look ahead to in 7 months when you really want to feel that this place is pro-Canada. And when it comes down to it, the Ecuador fans, because they don't get to see their team very often, make more of a priority to be in the stadium for games like this than Canadian fans do. Is it just part of the equation now, Oliver? Like, how do you read that? Because, again, this is BMO Field. This is the National Soccer Stadium. This is a place where the team has lost like one game in 15 years.
Yeah.
Yet nights like this still happen far too often, especially on the eve of a World Cup.
Yeah, it's difficult. I don't know what the solution is, to be honest with you. The Voyageurs, credit to them, but they were like an away section tonight in an Ecuador stadium. I guess this is the hope you have for next summer, right? Is that this team can continue to capture the imagination and hearts and minds to a point where when they're playing in Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, wherever it is, you have to get to the game because you're a Canada fan and you want to see your team. And right now, you said it, the Ecuador fans come out, they're desperate to see their side, and they make the stadium seem like a home environment.
I don't have much to say on that in terms of, obviously, Toronto's like a very multicultural city, but you look at the football fans who are just like the Ecuadorians, who for years, there's Ecuadorians that have lived in Canada for 30 years are still cheering for Ecuador, and they were out and alive tonight, and you saw the colors in the stands. We just hope for a bit more in 7 months, right? You get one of these shots, for me, a lifetime. To co-host and to have a World Cup here, we need to see the red and white more in the stands.
Long lineups to get in. That will be rectified come the World Cup as FIFA will come in and really take control of this venue. And guess what? All the construction and the distractions in and around the city, it also comes to an end when FIFA rolls into town. So a late arriving crowd in a late kickoff will not be any worries in 7 months' time. We hope. It is Toronto, Ontario, after all. Canada back in action next week. Again, we hope against Venezuela. You can watch all the action on OneSoccer and TSN.